Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
The Caribbean spared the worst of Tropical Storm Brett. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, June 20. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Trinidad and Tobago was mopping up and assessing damage on Tuesday after being spared the brunt of Tropical Storm Brett, which made its way through the Twin Island Republic overnight. Preliminary reports indicate there was minor damage in Grenada and neighboring islands as well. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, ODPM, said there were no reports of injuries, but several properties, mainly in the eastern and northern section of Trinidad, as well as in Tobago, had been affected by the storm's passage. ODPM head Captain Neville Wint also confirmed that at least 27 patients at the St. Anne's Hospital on the outskirts of the capital had to be evacuated to another part of the hospital after the roof of the building blew off. In other instances, the ODPM reported that trees and roofs were blown away by the storm and several areas were flooded. Schools, banks, as well as some businesses remained closed on Tuesday, extending the long weekend that had included a public holiday on Monday when the Twin Island Republic observed Labor Day. The cleanup and assessment in Trinidad's sister isle was also taking place on Tuesday. We get more from journalist Whitfield Turner in Tobago.
The winds from Tropical Storm Brett was the most impactful aspect of the storm as it passed over the island. Some 63.5 millimeters of rainfall was recorded by the Met Office from 2 p.m. Monday to 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Large swathes of the island reported intermittent electricity supply from as early as 6:30 Monday evening as the winds uprooted trees across the island. However, the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission restored supply to all its customers by 8 a.m. on Tuesday. While no deaths were reported, one man escaped serious injury when the Patience Hill house, of which he was the sole occupant, collapsed around him. A family from Gugu Patch in the northwest of the island had to be rescued by fire officers after they were trapped in their home when 2 trees fell on their dwelling. A total of 8 reports were received at the command center of the Tobago Emergency Management Agency. The Water Authority's infrastructure remains intact, although they advise against wasting the precious commodity in this time of abundance. Flights and sailings between Tobago and Trinidad have also resumed. Chief Secretary Calvin Charles, along with Secretary for Infrastructure Kwesi Devines, toured affected areas to get a first-hand appreciation of the situation. The budget presentation, originally carded for Tuesday, will now be read on Thursday. In 1993, a storm by the same name, Brett, also threatened the Twin Island nation. It later passed between both islands before going on to wreak havoc in northern parts of Venezuela. On both occasions, it had Tobago in its sights. On both occasions, the island escaped relatively unscathed. Tobagonians are hoping the result will be the same the next time a storm named Brett comes calling. This is Whitfield Turner in Tobago reporting for CNC News.
The Miami-based National Hurricane Center issued its final bulletin on Brett at 5 p.m. on Tuesday after it degenerated into a tropical wave about 115 miles east of Curacao. However, the storm's remnants are expected to produce 1 to 2 inches of rain over the southern Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, and coastal Venezuela into Tuesday night. Foreign ministers from the 34-nation Organization of American States, the OAS, failed to reach agreement at a meeting on Monday on a resolution criticizing the government of Venezuela. Guatemalan Foreign Minister Carlos Morales, the acting chair of the meeting, suspended a session to work out a joint statement on Venezuela and said ministers would resume discussions at a later unspecified date. 20 states voted to pass a draft, but 23 voted in favor. 23 votes were needed to approve the statement. 8 countries abstained from voting while 5 rejected the draft. Venezuela, which has said it is leaving the OAS and did not vote. Guyana's Foreign Minister Carl Greenidge said some states were not prepared to sign a statement that there are political problems in Venezuela. Mexico and Peru have led the push with the United States for a resolution that defends representative democracy in Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro is accused of leading the country toward dictatorship by delaying elections, jailing opposition activists, and pressing to overhaul the constitution. Meantime, the Antigua and Barbuda government on Tuesday hit back at former Jamaica Prime Minister Bruce Golden, who described a statement by Prime Minister Gaston Brown on the political situation in Venezuela as foolishness. In a statement, the government said Golden's pronouncement was poorly conceived and patiently unwise. In an interview with the Jamaica Gleaner newspaper, Golden said the position adopted by Brown and St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves about non-interference in the situation in Venezuela was foolishness. He said the same arguments could have been advanced for apartheid South Africa, but Brown said Golden's attempt to liken Venezuela's current internal crisis to the horrors of apartheid in South Africa was far from reasonable. He said the entire world stood opposed to legalized racism and alienated South Africa. The Antiguan leader said the situation in Venezuela is largely a domestic quarrel with few implications for the outside world. And the government said that if the lawfully elected regime were to be ousted prematurely, there is every likelihood that the uncertainty would give rise to sufficient instability to generate refugees, and the other states in the Caribbean and South America would likely bear the brunt of that human movement. Guyana's opposition leader Barra Jagdeo on Monday fired back at Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman, who described him as the Doctor of Doom during a sitting of the National Assembly last week. We get more from this report from Royston Drakes of Capital News.
After trading words with the Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman in the National Assembly, opposition leader Barra Jagdeo made sure he had the last say, at least for now, outside of the National Assembly. At his press conference, the opposition leader said he was not the purveyor of doom.
I am not the purveyor of doom. If anybody is a purveyor of doom, is this government. It's the doom peddling government or the doom government. Well, doom in both sense. It brings that as an outcome to people, and that's an outcome for them in the future too, because you tell that to the 10,000 sugar workers who are going to lose their jobs, or the 500 people at Barama, or the many sale clerks, etc., who have lost their jobs in the last few years. That's where the doom. They've brought doom to the lives of those people.
He said when he was managing the Ministry of Finance, Trotman was busy touting for clients as a mediocre lawyer.
Every single day, they cuss me out because of what I stand for. And they will continue doing this. Nothing has prevented them from doing that in the past. They've said I'm gay, I'm corrupt, I'm all sorts of things, incompetent, etc. Nothing will stop them from saying this. That is their ad hominem attack. They hate me for what I stand for. But my record versus Trotman, when I was managing a ministry, the Ministry of Finance, Trotman was busy touting for clients as a mediocre lawyer.
Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman had enough of the opposition leaders' criticism of the government, and he described Jagdeo as a failure. He said Dr. Jagdeo is the doctor of doom and should be the last to lecture anyone about good governance.
I was going to say that just 7 years ago, we had become a pariah state. awash with drug money and corruption. There are people in this house who couldn't travel abroad. People in this house who couldn't travel abroad. And Mr. Speaker, now we're being told and lectured to. Who are the pharaohs who just showed up and tried to tell us how to run a country? No. Mr. Speaker, the opposition leader has to remember he is in the opposition, has to remain in the opposition. Don't come and lecture us about good governance. We will not be lectured by the leader of the opposition on good governance, anybody else. I will take a lecture from Mr. Shearer. I'll take a lecture from Mr. Odinga Lumumba, but we will not take a lecture from you.
And ahead in Caribbean Newsline, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves seeks to collect almost $250,000. We'll tell you what that's for after the break.
Follow your heart to the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabaranks, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third Word, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Teddyson John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
Ready. It's another episode. When we out on the road, this is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink.
King Baba and the guitar. Hey, hey, hey. Every fat dollar boy keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my babe. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. Don't know what to say, he's still calling me wrong name.
Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
Over in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is seeking to collect almost $250,000 in damage after successfully suing a pro-opposition radio station for defamation. This is the second lawsuit that the station has lost to Gonsalves. The station's management has started a radiothon to prevent the station from being liquidated in order to meet the judgment. Gonsalves had filed the defamation suit after comments were made by talk show host Matthew Thomas on the program Stay Awake, and that was on Nice Radio in January 2007. The show was also hosted by Junior Bacchus. Thomas had made certain statements about Gonsalves having untoward intentions toward Bacchus. Thomas had also accused Gonsalves of using the office of the Prime Minister to facilitate illegal activities. The Court of Appeal upheld the decision of the lower court, which ruled in Gonsalves' favor, and the parties are due back in court on June 26. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, is celebrating 36 years amidst concerns that despite its achievements, there are still issues that bother the average citizen. OECS Director General Dr. Didicus Jules, in a message to mark the occasion, said that for regional integration to work, Caribbean people must have confidence in the process and appreciate the ways in which it impacts their lives for the better.
The aspiration to regional integration has been a long historical struggle, with shining moments of solidarity and with disappointing examples of fracture. Too often, our best emerges only when we are faced with the worst, and we are yet to understand that while adversity might provoke the spirit of resistance, it is the will to excel that will fuel the spirit of resilience.
Dr. Jules outlines some of the achievements of the sub-region.
We now have in place the free movement of people, in which the citizens of the member states, with the exception of Martinique, which is part of the French state, can travel freely within the OECS. We can move freely for short-term or long-term, for work or for pleasure, with nothing more required than a government-issued picture ID. The EC dollar, which is the currency of the OECS, has been and continues to be a strong currency, holding a fixed exchange rate against the US dollar. In bigger and richer Caribbean sister countries, national currencies have fluctuated and mainly been on a downward spiral against the US dollar. This is an achievement that we take easily for granted, but those of us who have traveled to other parts of the Caribbean where the currency has floated freely would appreciate what the stability of our currency means to one's personal income and one's ability to feed, clothe, and care for one's family.
Dr. Jules said the OECS is working with the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, ECTEL, to strengthen the regulatory authority to ensure that roaming is removed between OECS member states and that number portability, or the right to keep your number no matter which provider you switch to, is established. He said there is also the need to ensure that there is no interference with the subscriber's right to use services such as Skype, WhatsApp, or any over-the-top services that enable people to make free internet calls and communicate easily with family and friends. The Bahamas is said to have one of the highest rates of HIV infection outside of Africa. Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands made the revelation in Parliament. He says, based on data from 2014, 1 in 50 people living in the Bahamas is infected with HIV.
Not a good picture. I'm going to tell the truth. While we have dropped our national prevalence from 3% to 2%, far too many of our people are being diagnosed late, and we are seeing an increased incidence of HIV in our young people. Let me say to St. Anne's that we have committed to a vision of 0 new HIV infections, 0 HIV-related deaths, and 0 HIV-related discrimination in a world where people living with HIV are able to live long and healthy lives. And I urge my parliamentary colleagues to support me and my ministry on this initiative.
And ahead in Caribbean Newsline Sport, Darren Sammy blames Cricket West Indies for the continued decline of the Caribbean side. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Welcome to SwiftPack, your online shopping and shipping solution. Receive the best rates, expert cargo management, and exceptional customer service. SwiftPack provides secure handling of your smallest packages to your largest cargo with speed and reliability. We invite you to use our US mailbox service, online shopping, ship air and ocean cargo from the supplier to your door. We handle it all for you. Get started now. Sign up for a free regular account or premium account, or give us a call on 440-6100. SwiftPack. You shop, we ship, you save.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Two-time T20 World Cup winning captain Darren Sammy has blasted Cricket West Indies CWI for the continued decline of the Caribbean side and has painted a bleak future for the team once the Dave Cameron-led administration remains in charge. In a sharp critique of the state of West Indies cricket, the all-rounder told the Toughers and Vaughan show that he could not envision an immediate turnaround for West Indies, especially since none of the leading players were ever likely to represent the region again because of CWI's policies. Sammy said, and I quote, "I am very scared for the future of West Indies cricket. For a team that has dominated cricket for 17 years during the period in the 80s and the early 90s, to be in that position right now, I am scared that we might be relegated to the league of the Irelands and Scotlands playing against these guys, which is very, very sad if something doesn't change. And at the moment, the guy has just been rejected for another term. I can't see it happening. It's very sad for us." End of quote. Sammy contends CWI needs to adjust its policies to ensure the best players are available for selection, but he said it seemed not to understand what was in the best interest of West Indies cricket. And in the women's division, the teenage batting sensation Hayley Matthews believes a strong outing in the upcoming ICC Women's World Cup would go a long way in silencing Windies crickets, who believe the Caribbean side can only excel in the shortest format of the game. West Indies played superbly to win the T20 World Cup last year in India, dominating the mighty Australia women in the final. But Matthews believes the Windies possess the quality and the skill to add the 50 overs title to their trophy cabinet as well.
I think the girls definitely think we have a good chance. In terms of other people, I've actually been seeing a lot of critics saying that we don't have much of a chance, so it would be actually really good if we could go out there and prove a lot of people wrong.
Important most of all here.
I mean, I know people say this is a World Cup, but I mean, it would definitely really show where cricket is at right now. Obviously, like we said, 50 over is a different format to T20, and people would have been saying we aren't as well as at this format of the game, so I just really want to take this 50 over World Cup to really see where we're at in terms of moving forward.
Windies opened their campaign against reigning champions Australia on June 26, and Matthews says there is still some tweaking to be done before that game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a couple of challenging days out in the nets, but I think it's just a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of little small areas where we didn't click today. Definitely a lot of chances we missed in the field, and I think that's going to be one of our key areas this tournament. So it's just, like I said, to fine-tune those little areas.
Meanwhile, the Windies women lost the first official warm-up against Pakistan by 5 wickets in Leicestershire. Batting first, the West Indies piled on a competitive 246 for 7 off their 50 overs. Top scoring for the Caribbean side was right-hand batsman Felicia Walters with 59, while Marissa Aguilera contributed with 43. Off-spinner Sana Amir with figures of 2 for 46 was the pick of the bowling for Pakistan. In reply, middle-order batsman Nain Abidi led a successful chase with an unbeaten knock of 81, while Bishma Maroof scored 75 from 80 balls. Fast bowler Shamila Connell took 2 wickets for 39 runs, while captain Stephanie Taylor had figures of 1 for 29. Switching sports, with the 3-0 defeat to Peru still fresh on their minds, Jamaica's Reggae Boys will be hoping to bounce back in their semi-final encounter against French Guiana for the Caribbean Cup title. The South American side has a psychological edge over the Jamaicans, who were beaten in their last Caribbean Cup encounter. But in this report from TVJ's Renato Brown, we hear the Reggae Boys are optimistic about going all the way and lifting the title for an 8th time.
Coming off a 3-1 defeat to Peru, but midfielder Jermaine Teddy Johnson says it was good preparation for the main course, the Caribbean Cup. It was also his first taste of international football since being left out back in 2013.
It was a good feeling again playing for the national team, but we did not get the result that we needed. So we just need to take the advantage that we have and just go into the Caribbean Cup and try to get the wins.
It's a much watered-down Caribbean Cup with just 4 teams, a far way below previous tournaments with 8. No surprise, goalkeeper coach Warren Barrett says he's a fan of the previous format.
You're going in for 2 games. It doesn't really feel like a tournament, but our mindset is prepared. We know what is at hand. We know it's a semi-final game. So there'll be no excuses.
A number of first-timers are included in the 20-man squad. Among them are Kingston College schoolboy Javane Brown and Arnett Gardens goalkeeper Damien Hyatt.
It's a great accomplishment. At the age of 18, getting selected in a national senior team for a major competition. It is, I feel pleasing with myself.
It's a payoff. I remember when we win 15 season, I get an injury. When I get called up, I get a groin injury. So I will overjoyed for this call right now.
Teddy Johnson sees the good side of the local-based players being given a chance to play internationally.
It's a good opportunity for them to show what they can do, and show the coaches what they can do, and just go out there and just believe in themselves, believe in their talent, and just work hard, and everything will be possible.
The Jamaicans will play French Guiana in the semi-finals. The last time the two met in the Caribbean Cup, the Reggae Boys lost 2-1.
Then the team didn't play as well as we could. Well, we are hoping that lightning doesn't strike twice. As I said, a new, young, energetic bunch. But I think that we have enough quality in this team, and we are pretty confident as a technical staff that if the team plays anywhere near to their full potential, we should get the desired result that we are looking at.
And the Reggae Boys are motivated to retain their title.
You know, and we as players and coaching staff, every single one of us, we dedicate this title to him as well. So we are going out there and do our best and bring the title home and have it present at his funeral as well. You know, so it's more like a motivation for us to just go out there and get this last title for him as well.
The winner of the Reggae Boys game will face either Martinique or Curacao in the final.
Seven-time champion jockey Patrick Husbands broke a lean spell by winning a double on Sunday's 10-race card at the prestigious Woodbine. The 44-year-old raced 2 over 6 furlongs with favourites Sly Beauty before returning to the winning circle in race 3 over 6 furlongs with another odds-on bet Malbec. Husbands sampled success for the first time when he teamed up with the Mark Casey-trained Bay filly Sly Beauty to dismiss the 2-year-old maidens by 4.5 lengths in a front-running effort. Robert Geller has the call.
Placing is Legal Gump. They're out by 9 lengths, maybe 10. In behind them is Get My Gist. No drinking rules differential. Can't lift his feet at all. Is so far out of it. And it's almost a 3-horse race at the moment. Sly Beauty, Trebek, and on the inside, Legal Gump are so far ahead. They must be 9 in front. And the others, No Drinking Rules, Get My Gist, and a mile back differential. They come down the stretch, and Sly Beauty, 2.5 to Trebek. And on the outside, Legal Gump. Sly Beauty hasn't put a foot wrong, and Sly Beauty down to the final furlong in front of Legal Gump, and Trebek's called it a day, but the leader, Sly Beauty, has to stave off Legal Gump. Legal Gump, the only danger. Sly Beauty finding plenty, and she's got away, and Sly Beauty has gone gate to wire in a very nice manner, and Sly Beauty scores hands and heels by almost 4 lengths. Legal Gump was second. No drinking rules, third differential.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Celebrating 40 years of fun in the June-July sun. Vincimas 2017. Enjoy the exciting blend of mass and painted steel and glitter. There's a Monday street party like no other. And the explosion of colors at Mardi Gras. Don't be left out of the Vincimas 40th birthday celebration. Evo 4.0. Evo 4.0. There's Kaiso and the energy at Soca Monarch. June 30th to July 11th. Vincimas, the hottest carnival in the Caribbean. Check out Vincimas on Facebook or carnivalsvg.com for more details. Vincimas.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today. Again, the major developments of this day, the Caribbean spared the worst of Tropical Storm Brett. And in sport, Darren Sammy blames Cricket West Indies for the continued decline of the Caribbean side. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to carnanews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.